The beloved cast of The Andy Griffith Show once brought warmth and laughter to millions, but life after stardom took unexpected turns. Some faced tragic accidents, others encountered personal struggles that reshaped their paths. Fame doesn't always guarantee an easy ride, and the lives of these familiar faces spiraled in ways few could have predicted. Where are they now in 2025? Have they found peace, overcome hardships, or faded into obscurity? Join us as we uncover their journeys, stories of resilience, misfortune, and unexpected twists that will leave you astonished. Frances Bavier was 58 years old when she brought Aunt Bee Taylor to life on The Andy Griffith Show in 1960. Known for her motherly warmth and steady presence, she became a beloved character, though Bavier herself was far more complicated. A classically trained actress, she found fame late and felt typecast after the series, struggling to secure serious roles. Despite the public affection for Aunt Bee, Bavier lived much of her life in isolation. She never married and had no children, though she once confessed to a brief but heartbreaking affair with a married producer in the 1950s that left her emotionally scarred. Estranged from much of her family, she spent her later years in seclusion with only her cats for company. Among her personal tragedies were a serious car accident in 1973 that left her with chronic pain and the loss of her closest friend to cancer in 1980. She was reclusive by the end of her life and rarely left her home in Siler City, North Carolina. Frances Bavier died on December 6, 1989, at the age of 86 from congestive heart failure. Her estate was estimated at $700,000. Much of which was left to local animal charities, reflecting the quiet kindness she often kept hidden from the public eye. Don Knotts was 36 years old when he portrayed the hilariously neurotic deputy Barney Fife. His Emmy-winning performance turned him into a comedy legend, but the spotlight masked deep personal pain. After The Andy Griffith Show, Knotts struggled with anxiety and took on roles that never matched the charm of Barney. He was married 3 times, each ending in heartbreak, first to college sweetheart Catherine Metz, with whom he had 2 children, Thomas and Karen, then to actress Laura Lee Chuckna, and finally to Frances Yarborough, whom he married late in life. His relationships were fraught with insecurity and workaholism. His son battled substance abuse, and Knotts often blamed himself for not being present enough. He suffered from severe hypochondria and depression, especially after a failed cancer diagnosis scare in the 1970s. Despite these troubles, he remained close to Andy Griffith until his death. Don Knotts passed away on February 24, 2006, at the age of 81 from pulmonary and respiratory complications. His estate was valued at approximately $1.5 million, much of it managed in trust for his children. George Lindsay was 35 when he stepped into the shoes of Goober Pyle, the affable gas station attendant whose goofy charm delighted audiences. But off-camera, Lindsay was a complex man battling profound loneliness. He struggled with being typecast and resented how his post-Andy Griffith Show career stalled. His only marriage, to Joanne Herbert, lasted just 6 years and ended amid rumors of infidelity and his alcohol abuse. They had 2 children, Camden and George Jr., but Lindsay's frequent absences and volatile temper strained those relationships. His daughter distanced herself in adulthood, and they only reconciled shortly before his death. In the 1980s, Lindsay was briefly institutionalized for depression after the suicide of his younger brother. He also survived a near-fatal heart attack in 1991 that left him weakened and withdrawn. Despite these personal battles, he devoted time to charity work for children with intellectual disabilities. George Lindsay died on May 6, 2012, at the age of 83 from heart failure. His estate was estimated at $900,000, much of which was left to the George Lindsay UNA Film Festival he helped establish. Andy Griffith was just 34 when he took on the iconic role of Sheriff Andy Taylor, a calm, wise figure in Mayberry's heart. But behind the gentle demeanor was a man tormented by ambition and personal sorrow. His post-show career saw success with Matlock, But he never escaped the shadow of Mayberry. He married 3 times, first to Barbara Bray Edwards, with whom he adopted 2 children, Sam and Dixie. Their marriage dissolved after years of emotional distance and rumors of infidelity. Sam struggled with addiction for decades and died tragically in 1996, a loss that haunted Griffith until his final days. His second marriage to Greek actress Salika Kasuto ended in a bitter divorce, while his final marriage to Cindy Knight brought some peace, though it was marred by his declining health. He suffered from Guillain-Barré syndrome in the 1980s and later battled heart disease. Griffith retreated to his coastal North Carolina estate, rarely seen in public. He died on July 3, 2012, at the age of 86 from a heart attack. His estate was estimated at $35 million, including real estate and royalties, most of which was passed to Cindy Knight. Annetta Corsott, who played Helen Crump, the intelligent and composed schoolteacher who later became Andy Taylor's love interest, was 30 years old when she debuted on The Andy Griffith Show. Her character was a rare mix of warmth and sternness, often grounding the series' lighter moments. Off-screen, Annetta's life was marked by solitude and heartbreak. She never married, though she reportedly had a complicated, years-long affair with Andy Griffith that ended in quiet bitterness. She longed for a family but struggled with fertility issues and underwent several unsuccessful treatments during the 1970s. Her post-Griffith career stalled, reduced mostly to minor TV roles and voiceovers. Estranged from her siblings after a drawn-out legal battle over their parents' estate, Annetta spent her final years in relative obscurity, battling cancer alone in a modest apartment in Studio City. She passed away on November 6, 1995, at 62, from breast cancer. Though she once had a promising career and close ties with the Griffith cast, she died largely forgotten, with an estate valued at approximately $250,000. Ron Howard, who played young Opie Taylor, the freckle-faced, earnest son of Andy, was just 6 years old when he began his journey on The Andy Griffith Show. His portrayal became one of the most iconic depictions of American boyhood. As he transitioned into adulthood, Howard left acting for directing and became a titan in Hollywood. But despite his professional success, his personal life was shadowed by emotional distance. Married to high school sweetheart Cheryl Alley, the couple raised 4 children, Bryce, Jocelyn, Paige, and Reed, but work often took precedence over family. 2 of his children reportedly struggled with substance abuse and mental health issues, leading to a strained household. Ron also carried unresolved trauma from his early fame, including intense pressure from his father, actor Rance Howard. While he maintains a carefully curated public image, close friends say he suffers from long bouts of depression and anxiety. Now 71, Ron resides in a secluded estate in Connecticut, valued at around $200 million, yet admits in rare interviews that success often came at the cost of personal peace. Howard McNear, who portrayed Floyd Lawson, the quirky, absent-minded barber of Mayberry, was 56 when he joined the cast. His unique delivery and physical comedy brought a gentle humor to the show. Tragically, McNear suffered a massive stroke in 1963, which paralyzed the left side of his body. Though he returned to the show with limited mobility, the experience left him emotionally fragile. His marriage to Helen Pott was affectionate but strained under the pressure of his declining health. The couple had 1 son, Christopher, who distanced himself from his father due to the burden of caregiving. After The Andy Griffith Show, McNear never worked again, becoming increasingly reclusive and struggling with depression. Financial mismanagement and medical bills forced him to sell their family home in San Fernando Valley. He passed away on January 3, 1969, at 63, from complications related to his stroke. His estate, once modestly comfortable, had dwindled to an estimated $50,000. He was remembered fondly by fans, though his final years were filled with pain, regret, and emotional isolation. Jack Dodson, who played Howard Sprague, the awkward but well-meaning county clerk, was 35 when he took on the role. Dodson's character was known for his overbearing mother and his endearing social clumsiness, elements that closely mirrored his off-screen life. A gentle but insecure man, Jack married actress Mary Dodson, but the couple endured a turbulent relationship marred by frequent separations and one reported infidelity scandal. They had 2 children, Rebecca and Lucas, both of whom became estranged after a contentious divorce in 1987. Professionally, Jack struggled to shake the typecasting from Mayberry, landing only minor roles in forgettable TV movies. His later years were filled with regret over a career that never lived up to its potential. After being diagnosed with liver cancer, Jack moved into a small rental home in Encino, supported by residuals and Social Security. He passed away on September 16, 1994, at the age of 63, reportedly alone. His estate, mostly consisting of memorabilia and savings, was valued at around $180,000. His children did not attend his funeral, and the world moved on quietly. Hal Smith, who portrayed the affable yet perpetually inebriated town drunk Otis Campbell, was 44 when he brought the character to life in The Andy Griffith Show. Otis was a comedic yet endearing figure, voluntarily locking himself in jail after his binges. Off-screen, however, Smith's own life mirrored little of the joviality he brought to Mayberry. His post-show career dwindled into obscurity, mostly relegated to uncredited voice work and public appearances. Smith married singer Vivian Carver in 1948, but the union was plagued by infidelity and financial strain. They had one son, Michael, who became estranged after years of Hal's work-related absences. Smith also struggled with depression and alcoholism, reportedly isolating himself in his final years. Despite a cheerful public persona, he privately battled loneliness and regret. He died on January 28, 1994, from a heart attack at age 77. By the time of his death, he was living alone in Santa Monica with few visitors. His estate was modest, estimated at $400,000, much of it from residuals and modest investments. Hope Summers was 58 when she took on the role of Clara Edwards, Mayberry's prim, gossip-loving townswoman whose well-meaning meddling brought both warmth and eye rolls. While Clara was adored by audiences, Summers' personal life was anything but charming. A lifelong spinster, she endured a strained relationship with her controlling mother, whom she cared for well into her 50s. Her acting career peaked with The Andy Griffith Show, after which she struggled to find meaningful roles, often relegated to playing elderly neighbors or background characters. Hope had a quiet romantic relationship with a fellow stage actor, George Winslow, but he passed from cancer in 1965 before they could marry. Her solitude deepened with time, compounded by arthritis and declining mental health. She died from heart failure on June 22, 1979, at 77, having spent her last years in a Pasadena nursing home. Her estate, composed mainly of savings and a modest home, was valued at $250,000. Betty Lynn was 34 when she charmed viewers as Thelma Lou, Barney Fife's loyal and patient girlfriend. Thelma Lou was warm and sweet, a gentle foil to Don Knotts' neurotic energy. In contrast, Lynn's real life was marked by a search for stability she never found. She never married, but had a long-term relationship with a screenwriter named Alan DeWitt that ended bitterly when he left her for a younger actress in the early 70s. Betty desired a family but remained childless, a fact she often admitted with sorrow in later interviews. Her career after The Andy Griffith Show never reached the same heights, limited mostly to guest spots and stage work. She struggled with chronic health issues, including osteoporosis and macular degeneration, and eventually retired to a retirement community in Mount Airy, North Carolina, ironically, the Rio Mayberry. She passed away on October 16, 2021, at 95 from a brief illness. Her estate, mainly composed of royalties and savings, was estimated at $3 million. Jim Nabors was 30 years old when he debuted as Gomer Pyle, the dim-witted but good-natured gas station attendant whose golly and golden heart made him an instant favorite. Though Gomer's innocence brought laughter, Neighbor's own journey was far more complex. A closeted gay man for much of his life, Neighbors kept his personal life fiercely private during an era when coming out meant career suicide. He was in a long-term relationship with Stan Cadwallader, whom he married in 2013 when same-sex marriage became legal in Washington. Neighbors had no children and kept distant ties with extended family. After Gomer Pyle, USMC, his career shifted more towards singing and performing in Vegas, but the fame faded. He suffered from liver disease and underwent a transplant in 1994, which extended his life significantly. He died peacefully at 87 on November 30, 2017, in Hawaii, where he had lived in semi-retirement for decades. His estate, including real estate and music royalties, was estimated at $15 million. Paul Hartman, who portrayed the kindly fix-it man Emmett Clark, was 64 years old when he stepped into the easygoing world of Mayberry. Known for his quiet humor and subtle comedic timing, Hartman brought a humble warmth to the character. Off-screen, however, his life was filled with quiet sorrow. After losing his wife Grace in a car accident in 1952, he never remarried. The couple had one estranged daughter, Judith, who moved to France and rarely kept in touch. Hartman suffered a deep depression in the late 1960s, worsened by his declining health and the feeling that Hollywood had forgotten him. His final years were spent in near isolation in a modest Los Angeles apartment, battling diabetes and early signs of dementia. Despite his fame in the 1950s as a vaudeville and Broadway performer, Hartman's career dwindled post-Andy Griffith. He died on October 2, 1973, at the age of 69, from a heart attack. His estate, mostly consisting of residuals and a small pension, was valued at around $150,000 and left to a charity supporting mental health in entertainers. Mary Lansing, who played Martha Clark, Emmett's sweet but sharp-tongued wife, was 51 when she debuted on The Andy Griffith Show. Behind her genteel on-screen persona lay a woman haunted by heartbreak. Married to radio announcer Jack Hogue, the couple divorced in 1963 after years of quiet resentment and infidelity. Childless and fiercely private, Lansing poured her energy into animal rescue but never rebuilt the family she yearned for. After the show, roles grew sparse, and she turned to community theater in Pasadena, often performing for free. A stroke in 1983 left her partially paralyzed and unable to speak, stripping away her one great passion, her voice. Friends drifted away, and Lansing lived her last years in a care home, often unrecognized by younger staff. She passed away on September 30, 1988, at age 77. Her modest estate, consisting of a small trust in her home, was estimated at $90,000 and left to the Pasadena Humane Society. Eleanor Donahue, who charmed audiences as Ellie Walker, the poised and progressive pharmacist who briefly captured Sheriff Taylor's heart, was just 23 when she took on the role. Her departure after the first season was attributed to lack of chemistry, but privately, she struggled with crippling anxiety and a stifling marriage to sound engineer Richard Smith. They divorced in 1961, and she later married TV executive Harry Ackerman, with whom she had 4 sons, Brian, Peter, James, and Chris. Though her career continued with scattered TV appearances, Donahue never found a role as beloved as Ellie. A 1990s bankruptcy due to a failed restaurant venture left her financially drained, and her husband's death in 1991 plunged her into seclusion. She now lives quietly in a retirement community in California, rarely making public appearances. Donahue has spoken candidly about her battles with depression and loneliness in her later years. At 88, her estate, largely from early royalties and pensions, is estimated at $600,000, much of it earmarked for her grandchildren. Who is your favorite character from The Andy Griffith Show? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.